Statistically, a small percentage of men out there get all the girls. These men are what you might call the 1%. And while these guys are busy winning, all other men out there are sitting around and wondering what exactly it is they're doing wrong. So buckle up, boys, because what I'm about to share with you today are 4 things to help you get into the top 1% of men. So with that said, let's get right into it. Number 1, your killer instinct. Let me ask you a question. When is the last time that you went outside and you took down a bear or a lion or something? The answer for most of you is probably never, because in our modern world, we simply don't need to. You see, humans have turned even the fiercest animals into nothing more than little playthings that people point and laugh at inside a zoo. But there is an animal out there that is far more dangerous than any of these animals ever could be, and it is other humans. You see, one of the most important factors for attraction when it comes to girls is whether or not a man has a killer instinct, and it is something that most men have all but forgotten in the modern world. Now, this instinct, first and foremost, is a man's ability to protect females from the most dangerous threats on the planet, which unfortunately are other males. But this instinct doesn't just apply to the physical world. It also applies to things like business and really all areas of your life. And girls absolutely love a guy who is laid back, fun to be around, and charming, but they also need to know that if it came down to it, you would not be afraid to do what must be done to protect her. And this applies to all areas of your life. The thing that sets the 1% of men apart is that they all have a killer instinct that can be called upon whenever it is needed. Now, one of the easiest ways to demonstrate to other people that you have this killer instinct is to wait until a threat appears, such as a bloodthirsty spider who has just recently broken into your house. And then what you have to do is you have to punch him so hard with your bare fist that he loses all 8 of his shoes during the impact. Now, this doesn't work very well for me personally, but it should work pretty well for all of you. So to get into the top 1% of men, you must have a killer instinct and you must not be afraid to use it. Number 2, easy seduction. I want you guys to do me a favor and ask yourself this. What is the one thing that 99% of men out there all have in common? What is the one thing that, whenever we are faced with it, we just simply lose all control? Now, for thousands of years, women have had far more knowledge as to how male neuropsychology works, and they have been able to use this knowledge to get men to do pretty much exactly what they want and need. Meanwhile, even today, it is only a small percentage of men out there who have any idea as to how female neuropsychology works. And so what this means is that pretty much from the beginning of mankind, even as far back as the garden, females have been able to get men to do what they want with the help of a man's greatest weakness. I believe you all know exactly what this weakness is, but in case you don't, it is like the human equivalent of kryptonite for men. And it's like that little green crystal that, when waved a little bit too close to us, it causes us to lose all control and to lose all reasoning. And it is precisely the thing that only 1% of men are able to resist. And one of the greatest differences between the 90% of men who must settle and the 10% of men out there who have most girls fighting over them lies in how easily they are seduced. If you open your phone and you look on TikTok, Instagram, or pretty much anywhere on the internet these days, never before in history has there been a time where there's so many thirst traps set for unsuspecting men around the world. Never before in history have men been so easily seduced by a beautiful woman. And most men out there will drop anything at any time if there is a chance that they might get some love and attention from a beautiful female. And almost as if a small piece of kryptonite is being waved in their face, these men will fall to their knees and they will do anything for the girl who is seducing them. But men within the top 1% are different because they are not so easily seduced by a thirst trap on Instagram. They're not so easily seduced by a little bit of attention from a girl. Now, if you look at the men who girls fight over, the one thing that they all have in common is that, unlike most men, they cannot be seduced by physical beauty alone. And in fact, a woman's physical beauty has almost no effect on them. What you guys have to understand is that girls are not stupid, and they can all spot a man who has options and a man who doesn't have options. And it's the men who are the easiest to seduce who, paradoxically, women seem to care the least about. So the top 1% of men are never easily seduced or intimidated by beauty, so if you want to join them, you shouldn't be either. Number 3, other males. Now, in case you guys didn't already know, girls want men who are dominant. There's no way around this. And for some biological reason, girls are instinctively attracted to the most dominant man in the room, most likely because he is the one who is best able to guarantee her survival. You see, most men out there are not naturally dominant, mostly because of how they were conditioned or how they were raised growing up. But there's actually a cheat code for this, and it's really as simple as calling out other men on their BS. What a lot of you don't realize is that so many of the guys out there who seem confident and who seem like they're really dominant are really just putting on an act. And imagine if you were to put on an act and nobody ever called you out on it. Most likely, you would just continue doing that act forever. Now, I used to have a friend who would straight up lie to the girls that we were with. He would tell them some crazy story that he was on the run from the police and all sorts of ridiculous things like that in an effort to further the role of the bad boy character that he was playing. And since nobody ever called him out on it, he always seemed to get away with it. Most guys in the modern world are too afraid or too scared to call other men out on their BS. But men who have taken a position amongst the top 1% of the male population have developed the skill of calling other men out on their BS. And most of these men have actually trained themselves over time to get comfortable with conflict. In fact, one of the most powerful ways to demonstrate dominance and to show girls that you are a 1% man is to regularly call other people out on their BS. You would be surprised just how much stuff other guys can get away with because nobody ever calls them out on it. Whether it's in business or in any situation, really. If you want to join the 1% of men who all the girls fight over, you simply cannot be afraid to mentally spar with other men. And despite what your mother might have told you, conflict is a good thing. So instead of being so nice all the time, and instead of trying to get everyone to like you all the time, don't be afraid to create necessary conflict with other males or to call other guys out on their BS. Number 4, uncertainty. Now, I've saved the best for last here, and it involves a little something that we call uncertainty. Now, every single one of you watching gets scared sometimes, and there's no male on the planet who doesn't experience the thing that we all know to be fear. But the difference between a man who has joined the ranks of the top 1% and pretty much every other man on the planet is that the man who is most desired by women is the one who never expresses uncertainty. Now, it's one thing to be uncertain about something in your head, but it's an entirely different thing to express that uncertainty to those people around you. See, men in the top 1% appear certain even if in their head they have absolutely no idea what to do. So for example, if your rent is coming up and you don't know how you're going to get the bills paid, as a strong male, you must appear as if you have it all figured out, even if you don't. The top 1% of men never express uncertainty, even if deep down they are absolutely terrified. The thing that draws us to all these big-time Hollywood movie characters and the thing that makes them appear so smooth and so desirable is that they are able to stay calm under pressure, and they have mastered the skill of appearing certain while facing the unknown. These are 4 skills that if you practice daily will help you guys get into the top 1% of men. And with that said, as always, until next time, thank you so much for watching.